do it. Let me get this on the screen first, and I'm gonna go back to make sure that's initiated. I'm gonna play the sound, make sure all that's initiated. Oh, I gotta share the screen. I gotta share the screen. So
E and which E that he was referring to because of what I just showed y'all, the EM 180. The EM 180 is specific to black people in the Americas, as 60% of us have the EM 180.
initiated. We shouldn't have any more issues from this point.
So
So I'm gonna rewind it back to where I want to start at, and we're gonna let this man put his foot in his mouth, man. Yeah, here it is. So I'm gonna reshare. I'm gonna check this comment section too, see what y'all got going on, see what's how y'all feel about this.
and you,
In these mound building artifacts. But let me get back on track. Let me go back to where I was.
video about
Yeah,
Michael
we're
Hammond.
gonna start right here. This is where I want to be at, right here. And I'm gonna take a quick pause, and I'm coming right back. Yeah, I'm gonna waste a little bit more time, see who can come in here. If not, I'm gonna get started about 5 minutes, man. We're gonna get on Sean's head for sure, man. Yo, who that in the building? Marcus, what's up, dog? Marcus, can you see the screen? I just want to make sure before I get started. Oh, he out of there. Okay, he just stopped through for a second. Okay. Anyway, man, let me use the restroom and then I'll be back to bust Shawn P's head live because it's got to be live for this one, man. It's gonna be funny. The folks know what time it is, man. I just sent the link out. I know it was, at the spur of the moment, but anyway, I'm pretty sure a lot of people gonna duck this. Sean's crew is gonna probably act like they didn't see this. But even if they don't, it don't matter, man. I'm about to smash, dude. Um, I'm gonna go in here and we're gonna pick up where he left off at, or where I want to pick up at. Let's see.
To y'all before, but between 97 and
So let me give a little bit of background on this and why we're at, why I'm starting where I'm starting at. So in the original presentation that I did, I had mentioned the DE migrational theories, which consist of a DE split in Asia or a DE split out of Africa. So Shawn P had a huge problem with this idea I doubt that he ever even knew of such a concept. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just gonna demonstrate real quick, how Shawn P's mindset is very contradictory, and hopefully, I done ran, I've done like 3 takes before this, man, and the 3 priors didn't turn out right. I tried it first. Um, I tried the first 3 in Zoom, and neither one of them came out correct. It's either some audio missing, some visuals missing, so forth and so on. You know what I mean? But so this time I'm doing it live. That's the only reason why I'm doing it live. Because if it was up to me, I would have had it all pre-recorded. But anyway, that's the backdrop of what's going on. And look like I got somebody in the building. We got who's that in the building, man? Go ahead and say something. If you don't mind, sir or ma'am, just so I can know who's out there. And if you can do me a favor and tell me that you definitely see this screen, but I ain't gonna hold it up, man. Let's get started. Let's see here. I think this is where I want to start at. Let's go back a little bit farther. Yeah, let's start right here. Now, again, for those who just for the one person that just checked in, we discussed the DE superclade and the different theories of it, where it's split, whether it was East Asia or whether it was Africa. So just a little quick backdrop, and I'm gonna go ahead and let it spin. So is everybody on on the same page with that DE superclade?
No.
Oh yeah, Sean, go ahead and react to it, man. It's all good, man. Yeah, do your thing. But is everybody on the same page about this DE super play? At least you guys know what it is. Okay, real quick, I introduced the idea of the DE superclade into the picture because what I'm trying to demonstrate is that not all migrational movement is captured in the full ancestry of what you would call today African Americans, Black Americans, are all Negroes that descend from that lineage. It is a absolute fact that both the D and the Y DNA haplogroups split from a bigger superclade called DE, and the topic here is where it's split at. And so, Sean here is on the side that it is split in Africa. But even if it's split in Africa, then we have the D1 coming out of Africa very quickly and finding itself all the way in East Asia where it is today. So that is where we're at in the debate right here. And I'm gonna let it continue to spin, and then I'm gonna show you guys how Sean put his foot in his mouth. Okay, anybody really talking? I'm gonna keep going then. That's a PowerPoint. Here we go. All right, but they're not sub-Saharan. They're East Asian. which brings me to my most important point. And we're gonna get into the genetic studies and everything like that. I know you guys came. That was the most important part. But I'm just setting the groundwork, for everything that's to come. The D1 haplogroup is missing in Africa, in Europe, West Asia, Central Asia. So at this point, what I'm saying and basically demonstrating here is that when we say that the D1 haplogroup is missing in these continents, these land masses, it means that fossil evidence hasn't been found for these particular in these land masses
Fossil evidence hasn't been found. Let me let you finish.
concerning D1. Populations don't carry D1 in these land masses. Now,
False. He said it wasn't in Africa and yada yada yada, and you couldn't find this, you couldn't find that, yada 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 yada. Okay, all right.
which is an absolute fact, by the way, there is a significant amount of fossil evidence missing between Africa and East Asia concerning the D1. So, and I might even just share a screenshot of some chat GPT to validate what I'm saying. I doubt that Shawn really knows the full extent of what he's trying to talk about. That's why he's on the defense. He should be on the defense about general facts, but he is because he just don't understand. But anyway, let's go.
So let's take a break from him for just a little bit. And let's go to DNA genics. Let's explore your DNA. When in time, your haplogroup in context. This is dealing with D, ladies and gentlemen. 70,000 years ago out of Africa, a major migration of modern humans out of Africa happened. 54,000 years ago, haplogroup D, your Y DNA haplogroup emerged in Africa. Remember how he just said what he just said, where it wasn't in Africa, right? Said it wasn't nowhere. D1.
Okay, so what Shawn's understanding here is, and he's partially correct. He's not completely incorrect, but he's saying that the D originates in Africa. But he's gonna go further along as he continues to present, and he's gonna have to deal with the other D haplogroup, which is the D1. It is true that the DO, now known as D2, is found amongst only a few Nigerians. This, what I'm saying, like Shawn is giving the impression like this is a huge population in Africa. This is a very rare occurrence that a D2 is found within central West Africa, and it's not the same lineage as the D1. They are completely different. The D2 is completely African derived. The D1, as Shawn is going to read himself, is completely East Asian derived. So I'm gonna let him keep sinking himself in that hole.
Missing somewhere. For 54,000 years ago, haplogroup D was in Africa. Around 50,000 years ago, Upper Paleolithic advanced tool making, art, and cultural explosion. You see this? So this gives you a gist of that. Now,
First of all, Shawn, you probably need to update your material because the D2 is supposed to be the most basal, branch of the D's, and it's dated to be as old as the initial split of the DE. So it's dated up to 70,000 plus years old. So this is obviously, or at least it could be, the D coming back into Africa. Well, it already said that they're saying it originated, but they're chronologically wherever you're getting this information from is off. So I just want to point that out. Let's go.
There's more specifics to it because this site has a lot of information on it. But when he said that it wasn't in Africa, I just wanted to kind of show you how we getting hoodooed around here.
Yeah, show us, Shawn.
Peace to IBM. What's good with you, bro? Uh, yeah, we know he lying, bro.
Yeah, go ahead, show us.
I don't know how he gonna debate me and Chef on the subject. Me and Chefrin was arguing about something that was really about white people, and ultimately we both agreed that they can't see um, that the furthest star, right? That dwarf star. They could see one that was really really bright because everybody could damn see the one, but the other one no, they couldn't see that. But the white boy said that they could, that they had the wherewithal to see some shit, and he put the claim on the Dogon. But um, man, I don't care nothing about what he's saying. Hey, sub-Saharan lineage, yeah, he cracking up. Yeah, hold on. Let me get back to dude. But I wanted to put that in the chat as it pertains to haplogroup D, just to show you that haplogroup D is in Africa, and he said that haplogroup D wasn't um, in these places, and he put it to you like the shit was missing.
Nah, either previously or right after this, or I think it had to be previously. Um, well, it don't have to be. Either it was previously or right after this because he's pausing my initial presentation. At some point, I um, I highlighted the fact that there is uh, a D lineage or a D branch that was within Africa. So either Shawn didn't go through the whole presentation because he mentioned he was working out, during my initial presentation. So either, he didn't go through my whole presentation, you know what I'm saying, or he did and he just forgot that I said it or something like that. I don't know how this man's mind operates, man. And you're gonna see, a lot of contradictions in this man's mental construct, man. But I'm gonna keep letting this man. But they're not sub-Saharan. They're East Asian, which brings me to my most important point. And we're gonna get into genetic studies and everything like that. I know you guys came. That was the most important part. But I'm just setting the groundwork, for everything that's to come. The D1 haplogroup is missing in Africa, in Europe, West Asia, Central Asia. So at this point, what I'm saying and basically demonstrating here is that when we say that the D1 haplogroup is missing in these continents, these land masses, it means that fossil evidence hasn't been found. So you heard it right there. You heard me to distinguish the D1. Just want to point that out. Trying not to stop it too much, but I want to make sure that my points are distinguished. He just said that that I was saying no D was in Africa, and I'm gonna clear that up even further as it goes. But right here, you can clearly hear I say D1 found for these particular in these land masses concerning D1. Populations don't carry D1 in these land masses. Now, of course, the DO is found in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, I believe in Nigeria, but at a very low frequency. So there it is. So this man had not to, he couldn't have been, as prepared as he thought that he was, because he clearly just put words in my mouth and he said that I said that the D was not in Africa. And clearly you can hear right now me admitting that that D2, or formerly known as DO, is found in Nigeria. So let's move forward, Shawn, man. What's up, Shawn? You can't retain information, Shawn? I just want to know, man. But that still doesn't resolve D1 being all the way across uh, the Asian landmass in East Asia. So anyway, continuing on, um, and so I'll just continue. I'll follow up on that a little bit later. But yet, uh, it is found in East Asia.
All right. So let's stop them again. Let's keep it basic. Haplogroup DE, ladies and gentlemen, is a human Y chromosome DNA haplogroup. It is defined by the singular nucleoside polymorphism, SNPs. Some people call them SNPs, or EPs, M1, YAP, M145, yada, 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 yada. DE is unique because why is it unique? Because is unique because it is distributed in several geographical distinct clusters. Okay. An immediate subclade haplogroup D is also mainly found in East Asia.
So
Okay.
he'll read that. Now you heard what he just read. He says that it's mainly found in East Asia. But when I say this, oh no, that's not the case. No, they're not. I don't know what's up with dude, man. Let's keep going.
Parts of Central Asia and the Andaman Islands, but also sporadically in West Africa and West Asia. All right. The other immediate subclade, haplogroup E, is common in Africa and to a lesser extent the Middle East and Southern Europe. The most well-known unique event of polymorphism that
Okay, so he is slowly feeding into to my paradigm. Like from what I get from Shawn, he's a type of person that wants to keep everything in Africa. But I don't know if he knows it or not, but he pretty much just fed in to the fact that even the E is outside of Africa, and it's not because of the slave trade. Okay, he just mentioned that the E is found, in Africa, and mainly found in Africa. Of course, we know it's in the United States as well with Black Americans, but he just went on to mention that it's in the Middle East and Europe. Now that Middle Eastern E is most likely mainly the E1B1B. In Europe, uh, I would say, off the top of my head, that's probably more of the E1B1As. Now you could say that came by African slave trade or whatever, but by the end of this, I might just go ahead and pull up an article that I recently found about. They didn't call it the E1B1A, but it was a West African type of DNA um, in Europe 1,300 years ago. So this is well before any type of slave trade or anything like that. But these guys like Shawn, for whatever reason, they want to keep everything centered in Africa, and they want to basically minimize any type of ancestral movement before slavery. But they swear that they're not indoctrinated. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna let him put his own proof and his own pudding by the way that he talks, and his contradiction is about to start. It really already has, but he's about to go in. He's about to go ham on himself.
defines DE is the Y chromosome, a loop polymorphism. YAP. That mutation was caused when a strand of DNA known as allele inserted a copy of itself into the Y chromosome. Hence, all Y chromosomes belonging to DE and their subclades are YAP positive. All chromosomes that belong to other groups and subclades, hold on, my bad, and subclades are YAP positive, YAP plus. All Y chromosomes that belong to other haplogroups and subclades are YAP negative. The age of haplogroup DE previously estimated between 65 and 71,000 years, and later estimated around 68,555 years, and most recently around 76,000 years. The origin of this insertion discoveries, this is led by Michael Hamer. I think I showed a video about Michael.
Okay, this is where he's gonna really start putting his foot in his mouth. So, you know, everybody that's watching, just listen real carefully of how he reads this. You guys see it on the screen too, so you can read along. But this is where I want people to pay the most attention to. Watch this.
Hamer to y'all before. But between 97 and 98, Hamer published 3 articles relating to the origins of haplogroup DE. So it should be a lecture online from Michael Hamer, the University of Arizona, talking about DE, because most of his shit can be found that way. The scenarios outlined by Hamer include an out of Africa migration. Over 100,000 years ago, the gap in the insertion of an Asian Y chromosome 55,000.
All right, so let's pause it there. This is important information right here because what Hammer was proposing, at least way back then, is an out of Africa movement well before the current out of Africa model. It says here the scenarios outlined by Hammer include an out of Africa migration over 100,000 years ago. He's probably going with that date because of the DE. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so the current estimate is like out of Africa is anywhere between 65 and 75,000 years ago. That's a huge gap between 100,000 and 75 if you want to take the higher number. So just wanted to point that out. So let's move.
Years ago, and a back migration gap plus Asia to Africa 31,000 years ago. Now, if you were listening earlier on when he was saying what he was saying when he mentioned a back migration into Africa, he talking about some shit that happened 31,000 years ago, right? So remember his argument. Well, I'm gonna let him make his argument to you, but I need to highlight something. That at a time the last glacial maximum is happening and all this other shit, how you're going to move from Asia back to Africa, then back across the Bering Strait in less than a few thousand years. That's a lot of walking and a lot.
Okay. So I never concluded that in particular. Where I was going with it was a possibility of the um, the DE splitting in East Asia because the D1 is predominantly, it really ain't even predominantly, it's only found on that side of the map. So I was inserting the possibility that the E first, when it split, it could have possibly moved eastward, not necessarily through Beringia or anything like that, because before that glacial period, it wasn't necessary to go through Beringia, especially if you're not coming out of Siberia. You know, strategically, those migrators that came down from Siberia saw Beringia as the closest approximate distance, the most feasible pathway. But if you coming from East Asia at that time before those glaciers set in place, you might come in through a coastal route. You know what I'm saying? And it's very obvious that the E carriers that were aboriginal to America had some type of contact with the oceanic populations. I don't have that necessarily prepared to show right now, but I could do it probably in part 4. So since they did have, or at least seemingly have, that type of relationship, since um, Australians were in Australialoids. I guess that's what I think I'm saying that right. were in Australia 65,000 years ago, which also puts a wrench in the out of Africa theory. If they were there 65,000 years ago, how long ago did they actually come out of Africa? I got an article speaking of that. And maybe I'll start part 4 off with that. But anyway, there's reason to believe that, there was some type of community between these e-carriers and these oceanic Negroes. So with that being said, it was probably information passed to the point where they didn't have to go through Beringia. Beringians went through Beringia because they were coming from Siberia, my guy. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand these things. But anyway, let's keep it moving.
And real fast. That's a hell of a lot of walking. They ain't on boats. They ain't flying around here in helicopters and jets. They footing it.
See, again, this is this indoctrinated mindset. You know what I'm saying? Like the fossil evidence and just the logical evidence of the oceanic migration for the C haplogroup dictates that they had to have gone through an ocean migrational pattern. They had to cross a huge body of water, which would be the ocean in the Pacific, to get where they are now. And they did that 65,000 years ago. So they had to have done it by maritime movement. But this gentleman, Mr. Shawn P, for whatever reason, man, these guys swear they're not indoctrinated, but they don't want to accept that Negroes were traveling by maritime means, and they did it a long time ago. So, but anyway, man, let's go.
Graven conditions.
Graven conditions.
You know what I'm saying? So I want y'all to remember that, and we'll come back to it. But he finna get distracted, and then he gonna go on his little rant, and he ain't even really gonna be dealing with the subject matter.
Let's see if I really go on the rant. This implies 2 scenarios. Either DE at one time was somewhere deep in Asia and split there, and E migrates through Asia and Africa. Or DE splits in or just outside of Africa, and D migrates across Asia to East Asia. So if we have DE splitting in or just outside of Africa, and D migrates across Asia, then we have movement from a sister lineage going across a landmass. But even more interestingly is the idea of a DE split deep in Asia, where the E is returning across Asia into Africa. And this is still a topic that's not been completely
This is when I know that he don't know what the hell he's talking about. Like, bro, what are you just talking about? See how we just read that and it said all the shit that he just said earlier, and then he comes back and he says this dumbass shit.
Now I want everybody to remember that. He just said that I said some dumb shit, right? Okay, so he's gonna go on later to put that foot in his mouth, man. And I'm gonna pause it, and it's gonna be very clear that he did that. You know what I mean? And you're gonna see this consistent pattern with Mr. Shawn P here. But let me not hold it up. Let's get to it, man.
He literally says this dumbass shit. Like, bro, like, what are you doing? What are you doing, bro? For real. And why are you doing it? You're not understanding it. I just showed y'all D in Africa. Of course, you know I can show you E in Africa. Then showed you DE. Read and broke that down. He's saying it wasn't. He's saying all the things that he's saying. And if you're listening to him closely, he continues to make you think. And what he's trying to argue is that this E, right, this EM or this E that we get, that we got, he gonna say that they came from Asia.
And you about to say it out
That's
your
his argument. There ain't no other argument that he making right now. Is that he trying to give credence to Asia. So he gonna argue that we the first peoples, we the Paleo Indians. That could be his only argument. The only problem with that is that when they mapped out the genome and they came across ANZIC 1 and ANZIC 2, that didn't go too well for Negroes being Native Americans.
Okay. So let's get a better understanding of what the ANZIC was and what it did and didn't do. And this will be a note to myself to make sure that I'd include this in number 4, in part number 4, so people don't think I'm just making this up. But Kenwick was not um, identical to modern Native Americans, for one, phenotypically or genetically. What he did show was a more basal structure to the modern Native American genome. So what he demonstrated was continuity, but he would have been more ancestral, and modern Native Americans descended from that genome further downstream. So again, these types, these Shawn P types and these India types, because I know I see you in there, India. You all believe that haplogroups define populations, and just because it started off as a particular haplogroup with a particular population, that there's going to be no changes over 50 thousands of years, 20 thousands of years, and tens of thousands of years autosomally. You think that just because this haplogroup is seen in one population today, that the ancestral state was identical, which is scientifically erroneous at best. I want to make sure y'all understand that. So anyway, let's move forward. So Kenwood Man, the controversy was at first because they was calling Kenwood Man definitely somebody that was not Native American. But what needs to be understood, and what I was trying to convey with the Malta example, is that Malta indirectly, not directly, because I had the directional pattern backwards. In the first presentation, I said that Malta received gene flow from West Eurasia, and that's not how it happened. So I corrected myself. I think it was either part 1 or part 2, can't remember. But Malta, the reason why Native Americans show the West Eurasian signal is because the Malta population delivered gene flow into West Eurasia, into the Levant. So it gives the illusional appearance that Native Americans carry direct gene flow from West Eurasia, and that's not quite the case. It's just that their ancestor put that gene flow into the Levant to give the illusionary, uh, image, or to make it look like Native Americans have a West Eurasian signal. No, they don't technically. They are getting that from their ancestors from the Malta population. So I just wanted to make that clear once again, because I know India is in there trying to find something to pick apart. But today, India, you won't be able to. Because Shawn is about to, what I'm saying, he about to embarrass y'all, and I'm gonna let him do it. So they found a DO in Nigeria that kind of made them lean back towards African origin uh, for DE, possibly, which would mean that the E would stay and remain in Africa, and the D would leave Africa and go all the way to East Asia and populate East Asia. By the way, the Joman peoples are D1. They were also mound builders. Just putting that out there. I didn't have a chance. I didn't really have time to.
These people that you're talking about, that you're saying that are mound builders, ain't the least bit us or black at all.
So again, an ignorant statement by Mr. Shawn P. He says that the people in the mounds, the skeletal remains in the mounds, have nothing to do with Negroes. Where the initial reports, and really in an initial, these reports still stand to this day, that in the mounds, in the American mounds, that they were Negroes, African types. They were described as African-like, Negro-like, so forth and so on, and specifically not Mongoloid. And that'll be another note to myself to make sure I include that in part number 4. You know what I'm saying? For all those who want to try to doubt that. And what's interesting about the Joman population, which lasted up to 1253, is that they're probably the only mound building population or culture that had any, and it really ain't even similar. It was almost identical to the Mississippi, mound building type structures. You know what I'm saying? If you put them side by side, you wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. So what I'm connecting here is, a direct sister lineage from us. You know what I mean? And keep in mind, what Shawn doesn't realize, and his whole clique, is that when these haplogroups form, they're forming in one person, y'all. They're not forming in 1,000 people. So if, regardless of where, what I'm saying, the DE started at, the D1 being all the way in East Asia is significant because it started as one person, what I'm saying, from the DE, which was one person. You know what I mean? So you would have to assume a lot of ignorance that, what I'm saying, that the predecessor had no knowledge of East Asia, and then all of a sudden their child did. You know what I mean? Like we got to use common sense and logic. If the DE starts with one person and then it differentiates basically into their children as D and E separately, then why would you believe that the parent doesn't have any knowledge of East Asia, like the child just ups and goes to East Asia for no reason? You know what I'm saying? Like where did they get that idea from? Where did the oceanic population just get the mindset to skip all the way across Europe and Asia all the way to Oceania? In you guys' mindset and mentality, this is just they just did it randomly. You know what I'm saying? And that just didn't make sense logically, y'all. So let's move.
They're not black at all. The mound fucking.
He upset.
See, this is what I mean by you trying to do too many. We don't know if you talking maternal. We don't know if you talking about paternal. But then you start just mixing up shit and then just throwing it at.
So how do you not know that we talking about paternal lines when we talking about the DE? There is no DE in the maternal lines. You already established. So let's move.
Actual insight or understanding on which one of these haplogroups that you're talking about. Are you talking about the first man to come into the Americas or the first woman to enter the Americas, or both?
I wouldn't be in that Pacific yet. I was just foundation. Big guy, slow down. You know what I'm saying? Be easy.
Because this A, B, C, D, and E, this A, B, C, D, and X situation that you're dealing with as it pertains to the Americas ain't got nothing to do with black people. And you ain't going to be able to.
Now, I think he's talking about the mtDNA X. He's paranoid about that situation too, because it's similar and even more anomalous than D is, because it skipped like the whole map from West Eurasia all the way into America, and it didn't come in through Beringia. So I think he's paranoid about that too as well. But I wouldn't talk about none of that. That's on your mind, my guy.
You can't name me one group of black people in America today that practices a Clovis culture or Native American culture. And I ain't talking about dressing up for ritual.
those who believe, in Black indigenous ancestry, and to me, it ain't no belief. This is what our recent ancestors told us. This that has nothing to do with Clovis. So what's established that? What I'm saying? You guys keep asking us about Native American culture, Clovis culture. Our ancestors, my G, what I'm saying? This was, our ancestors had several offshoots of high civilization, man. They had it in Egypt, they had it here, they had it in Indonesia, they had it everywhere. What I'm saying? Like we never, our ancestors never looked anything short of high civilization. You know what I mean? But that's what goes into all of that indoctrination that you've received, my man. You know what I'm saying? We not Clovis. We've told you this continuously.
Rules and shit like that. I'm talking about the nuances of these particular people, the way that they rock. Let me finish my breakfast. This nigga tripping. This nigga's tripping.
Breakfast, man. You need some protein.
I want y'all to hear it. It gets sillier.
Really prepare any citations about the mound building, and how we know that the D1 is found within the remains in these mound building artifacts. But let me get back on track. Let me go back to where I was. This has been heavily debated amongst phylogeneticists and anthropologists, but still not resolved. Rare deep-rooting Y chromosome lineages in humans. Lessons for phylogeny. Okay, so I'm citing the actual article that this information is coming out of. This next quote here.
And ain't none of the ghetto source.
Significant evidence for range expansion from west use the position of Group E within the then apparently African and Asian. However, we showed that apparently, I meant to take this slide out. I'm actually going to stop sharing, and then I'm gonna reshare, and I'm gonna read it directly from the article itself. That's what I planned on doing. So because that copy, you just heard him say he ain't showing nothing. You know what I mean? So it's obvious that he didn't really like prepare himself before he did this, man. Or either that his attention, or his attention to detail is subpar, because you could just see, his pattern, man. He'll say that I didn't do something, and then in the next second he'll show me validating me doing just that. You know what I'm saying? And he'll continue to do this over and over again, y'all. And paste didn't work out too well. So
told you.
Find it.
Told you. He just told you. Copy and paste didn't work too well. And you're trying to convince us that you read this shit.
So he thinks because I copy and pasted one paragraph, he thinks that my whole PowerPoint is a copy and paste, man. This is his logic. Just understand this.
And you're trying to convince us that you know what you're talking about. And you're trying to convince us because of X, Y, and Z, this is why we're not West Africans. All the while, you're not dealing with no maternal or paternal haplogroups that are West African in origin, or any other evidence that actually proves the latter. You're just surmising some pseudo shit.
Boy, just talking, man. He ain't made no logical sense.
It's really all you're doing. And I don't think that, and like I said in the chat, I don't think that you understand what you're actually reading. I don't. You can't convince me.
Yeah, here it is. So I'm gonna reshare. I'm gonna check this comment section too, see what y'all got going on. See how y'all feel about this. The D found in Southeast Asia, like Sri Lanka, Australian Aborigines. It's not dominant in Australia. Um, you know, it might be found in Australia, but it's not dominant in Australia.
How do you know it's not?
That haplogroup is dominant in East Asia, in Japan, Tibet, Thailand. So he said, "How do I know it's not?" And he about to tell us why real shortly. And this is where it's gonna get hilarious at, man. He just said, "How do I know it's not?" And he's gonna read and confirm that it's not shortly. Funny guy. This guy's funny, man. Real comedian. Forth and so on. China, so forth and so on.
Where's origin?
What's my source? I'm about to pull it up now. India. What do you talk about? I mean, some of this stuff is general information.
No, it's not.
And, to a certain extent. You know,
It's not.
That's what I'm talking about.
Not general information, because if you took the moment out to fucking read, you wouldn't even put this damn presentation together.
Go ahead, let us know, Shawn.
You would have backed the fuck off and shut up, or conceded to the fact that you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, go ahead, tell us, man. Speak your piece, bro.
Y'all just heard him name some shit, so I'm gonna go ahead and name it.
He about to get me straight, y'all.
Haplogroup E was Yap positive. Haplogroup D, which is Yap positive, was clearly an Asian lineage.
All right then. Let's back it up, man. I just like hearing dude just crush himself, man. I don't even got to do it to him. Let's do it. Let him say it again.
Y'all just heard him name some shit, so I'm gonna go ahead and name it. Haplogroup E was Yap positive. Haplogroup D, which is Yap positive, was clearly an Asian lineage.
And he thinks
being found only in East Asia with high frequencies in the Andaman Islands, Japan, and Tibet. Because the mutations that define haplogroup E were observed to be in the ancestral state in haplogroup D, and haplogroup D at 55,000 years ago was considerably older than haplogroup E at 31,000 years ago. Hamer concluded that haplogroup E was a subclade of haplogroup D and migrated back to Africa.
All right. This dude, hey, he obviously don't understand what he just said. Y'all heard that, right? It ain't just me, right? Dude don't understand what he just read. My man just admitted that the D is East Asian. And at this time now, Hammer later on, concluded that, that E did not descend from D. So I don't want to, make myself contradictory like Shawn is doing to himself right here. Later on, they concluded that E had to have been its own clade. But he's reading this as if he's like showing me something contradictory to what I'm saying. But he just read here that D is an established East Asian derived lineage, and it and the E descended from D, basically making E a descendant of a East Asian haplogroup, bro. Now I didn't say that. It wasn't even my it wasn't even on my mind to even put it exactly like this. You know what I mean? I'm just putting the possibilities out there. You know what I mean? He read out of his own mouth that Hammer at this time believed that the E haplogroup descended from D carriers, and these D carriers were fully East Asian derived, not African. India, you there? India. You just got back. Oh, India, you just got back. Let me play it back for you. Let me play it back on how your guy just contradicted himself. Let's play it back. Want to make sure you see it, India, and hear it.
Y'all just heard him name some shit, so I'm gonna go ahead and name it. Haplogroup E was YAP positive. Haplogroup D, which is YAP positive, was clearly an Asian lineage.
Your man just said it himself, India, that D is East Asian derived. Let's continue.
Being found only in East Asia with high frequencies in the Andaman Islands, Japan, and Tibet. Because the mutations that define haplogroup E were observed to be in the ancestral state in haplogroup D, and haplogroup D at 55,000 years ago was considerably older than haplogroup E at 31,000 years ago. Hamer concluded that haplogroup E was a subclade of haplogroup D and migrated back to Africa.
So India, your boy is extra special. I'm cherry picking now. I'm just reading what the boy said. You know what I mean? So if that's cherry picking, it's so be it. That's what your boy put up there. You know what I'm saying? He very clearly reiterated what Hammer was thinking at the time, which is different now. You know what I'm saying? You missed the part where I established, India, that geneticists no longer believe in this particular model, at least in this particular detail, that the E descended from D. But obviously, your man didn't have a good grasp on what he's trying to do, because he thought that what he just read was, a rebuttal to what I'm saying. He doesn't realize that he's helping my point, because my point was, at that time, this is what they thought about Negroes. You know what I'm saying? Like, in part 4, I'm gonna pull the excerpt from the book where it says, whoever that was at the time, I can't remember who the author was. They were saying in bold words, they believe that Negroes in general descend from the Himalayas, which is East Asia. You know what I'm saying? And so here it is, Hammer, at this time, based on the evidence that he was seeing at this time, he said that the E was a subclade of D, which makes the D an ancestor to the E, and he defined the D as East Asian derived, which still hasn't changed. The D1 at least is all East Asian and has nothing to do with Africa whatsoever. That them small amounts of DO in Nigeria, that's not gonna make up for the D1 being all the way in East Asia. So that's what they thought about it at the time, and your man just read it and confirmed everything that he said that I didn't say. or I had mixed up, or I didn't understand. He's gonna turn around and read it and validate everything I'm saying in the same breath. That's real clown work, India. I just want you to see how you guy operates. That's all. How you feel about that, India? You got anything to say? You said cherry picking before. You know what I'm saying? Cherry picking explains that much of a contradiction in this man. Keep playing the video. You don't want to hear about it now. You don't want to hear about it. I'm gonna keep playing the video. Don't worry. I'm gonna play it. He ain't done yet either. It only gets worse.
2000 study concerning the origin of the Y positive mutation analyzed 841 Y chromosomes representing 36 human Y geographical distributions of the presence of Y specific allele insert. They also analyzed out of Africa and out of Asia models, and for the YAP mutations, according to the authors, the most ancient positive YAP plus mutation was found in Asian lineages and Tibetans, but curiously not in Japanese lineages. More recent YAP positive lineages were distributed almost equally in Asians and Africans, with a smaller distribution of Europe. Boy, you can't get around Africa.
So that boy just read that the YAP positive is equally distributed amongst Africa and Asians. They're not close in proximity, Shawn. This is not a flex for you. You still are you are digging yourself a bigger hole. Now, India, listen. I just want you, I want to just talk to you, India. I see you in there. You know what I'm saying? India, you're gonna see your boy uh strategically not read the end of that last paragraph, India. Now you still believe that, you know what I'm saying, he's appearing to be like this because I'm cherry picking? India, I just want to know. India. Come on, India. It don't take that long to respond. But it's okay. I'm gonna let it play. You ain't gotta respond.
No matter what you do, no matter what you say, you can't get around Africa because the way you're trying to frame your argument is on a level of ignorance. I
Okay.
don't think.
So he's moving on. You can see that he's moving on from that screen. So he planned on, getting away with the obvious, India. Do you know what the obvious is there? Do you know what the obvious is? Let's go back and let's read that last sentence, because the last sentence is it pretty much surmises everything that he said that wasn't going on. Okay, so here it is. That last sentence, or the last two sentences, that first one starts off as scientists concluded that the information available did not allow one to decide between the out of Asia or out of Africa models. Dang, India. But your boy was flexing real tough. He was this. But the man he just reiterated everything that I had in my PowerPoint. That's why it wasn't even necessary for me to even come equipped right now. Why do I even need to even pull out heavy artillery when your boy is doing the heavy lifting, India? I gotta wait for the response. India, next time I'm gonna turn up the response time. You know what I mean? So you won't have that issue. You know, we know y'all's, some goalpost moving, dodgeball MVPs, India. But you just your guy just showed you out of his own mouth. This is his stuff that he brought, and I'm cherry picking. He could have thought about this, better before he presented this. That's not my fault. And he presented it like this, India. He was doing this. He gonna sit up here and say that at one time they thought Negroes was from East Asia, just like I told him. Just like I said. This was the original understanding, India, that Negroes were not from Africa. And then your boy is gonna read exactly just that and flex at the same time. You guys are definitely, y'all on the brink of being psychotic, India. Yeah, let's move on. I'm about to wrap it up soon. That was the main part. I'm gonna wrap it up real soon. I ain't gonna hold it up, because part four I'm gonna have to go in more detail, because he started talking about haplogroups and everything like that. But I got a little bit to say just in general about those haplogroups when he gets into it, and I'm gonna make perfect sense, India, where your boy cannot.
2000 study concerning the origin of the Y positive mutation analyzed 841 Y chromosomes representing 36 human Y geographical distributions of the presence of Y specific allele insert. They also analyzed out of Africa and out of Asia models, and for the YAP mutations, according to the authors, the most ancient positive YAP plus Mutation was found in Asian lineages and Tibetans, but curiously not in Japanese lineages. More recent positive lineages were distributed almost equally in Asians and Africans, with a smaller distribution of Europe.
And Shawn just gonna admit that, man. He like, we got to get up out of here, man.
Boy, you can't get around Africa.
He like, I didn't put my foot.
No matter what you do, no matter what you say, you can't get around
that, Shawn.
Africa, because the way you're trying to frame your argument is on a level of ignorance. I don't think.
No, Shawn, you just framed it for me precisely, and you did a great job, Shawn. You did an excellent job, man. You know, India, when you see Shawn, let Shawn know that he did an excellent job at proving my point, which was in early history, historians, phylogeneticists, so forth, anthropologists, so forth and so on, that they thought that Negroes came from outside of Africa, and particularly East Asia. You know what I'm saying? So, I whenever you see your guy, just give him a thank you sincerely. You know what I'm saying, from Uncle Bean. You know what I'm saying. Tell my nephew I appreciate it. You know what I mean, because he backed me up. Swell, man. I wasn't even expecting that, man. Tell the champ. You know what I'm saying. Have a good weekend and everything like that, man. I wish the best for him. But anyway, let's keep moving.
Like I said, hit the like button, man. Share the show, man. Yeah, I don't know why they want to be mound builders. IBM. The white boy said that they saw a star that they never said they saw. Knowing about a star and seeing a star are two different things.
Indeed. Do you know what this man is talking about?
I don't care what Unbiased is saying. He don't know what the fuck he's saying because he didn't pay attention to either video or the presentation done on the subject matter.
What's he talking about, Indy? You guys be like, pull up this, show us some citations and stuff. Like, this stuff is general information. It should be for those who follow this type of information. But anyway, let me pull it up. Oh, that ain't it. What is that? Oh, it's on my window. That's not it either. Let's see. No, it should be there. Indy, I'm gonna take that clip and I'm gonna turn it into a remix, man. And I'm gonna splice that thing up, man. And I'm gonna have Shawn with some background music, admitting over and over again, like some chop and screw type stuff. You know what I'm saying? That Negroes is from East Asia. And that's going on Facebook. This going on Facebook for sure. But I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna chop it up some more in the editing studio, and I'm gonna really make it do what it do. You know what I mean? Your man made a mistake, man, and it's his fault. You know what I mean? He did this so confidently too, man. Like he was flexing big time, man, and you know what I'm saying? He just totally contradicted himself, and this is very funny. This is very funny, man. Let's keep it going. This is just a comedy session at this point. There's no need for me to bring anything right now. It's not showing that tab. Let me see. I think this is where I bring up that same article later on. It ain't even necessary to look at this event that brought. This is the 2000 study. I think Hammer did this one too, but he didn't already summarize what's in it. So that's the reason why I'm skipping over this, India, before you try to say that I'm omitting information. He's already verified this information, India. So don't even try it. Let's move forward. The article is clearly saying they know for sure which direction that migration happening because they have a split lineage all the way across in East Asia. Everybody clear at least on that part. I don't think it's any arguing that.
Once again, the motherfucking thing told us that where the origins for it was at. It told us. What are we?
Right.
What are we doing? Where you can't comprehend that instead of looking at the article, go look at the haplogroup that you're discussing and see what it is referring to, and then you build on it from that because the searching the origins is going to give you more information on how it is distributed. You keep talking about positive. Bro, we know you're looking at the goddamn wiki article and you trying to get to some bullshit. But you still ain't tied none of this shit to people that are black in America. Until you just try to say that dumbass shit you just said. So I'm gonna let you finish.
So Shawn unknowingly, now that was the clip before. Shawn, this is funny, man. It's kind of like premonitions. You know what I'm saying? Like Shawn, like, he dug his own path and ditch like before he even dug up this information, which is even funnier that he was already digging his ditch at the point of my first presentation. He was digging it all the way back then, saying that I didn't prove the point, and then he came back later and pretty much validated everything I'm saying, and then summarized it real tidy for me. That's hilarious, man. Yeah, y'all find that? Am I the only one find that hilarious? I don't know. I found that funny, man. Not that it's not Asian origin because oral tradition of those who carry the Yap root tells us of a migration from Africa years ago. Who was that? What made that up? What are you talking about? India, who made that up? What oral tradition? Mr. Castro. What oral tradition are you talking about? Where y'all get that from, India? I'm confusing you. Which E? Shawn, it's only one E. It's only one E, man. It's only one E. And then the E diversifies further downstream, but there is no two E's. What do you mean, do I know where the E comes from? Now, my position is I don't know where the E came from. It came from basically between, based on the out of Africa now, because I don't want y'all putting words in my mouth. Based on the out of Africa model, it's coming between. Now, I just said, because I don't want him putting words in my mouth, you going to see, as soon as I say this, he going to come back and put words in my mouth as if I just didn't say and was specific about based on the out of Africa model. He's gonna come back and say, see, he said that he was from Africa. What's wrong with your guy, India? What's wrong with him? We can get him some help though. anywhere between Northeast Africa and East Asia, because that's where it's found at. The E is found in the Americas, of course. If you believe in that we all came by way of the slave trade, we are all, well, the majority of us anyway, are E haplogroup carriers. But based on the out of Africa and the slave trade narrative,
are African Americans E carriers?
what type of question is that, man?
Are we E carriers? Or is it something else that's associated with that?
Now, ain't gonna be no something else, Mr. Shawn. You asked, were they E carriers? At the basal level, they are. Now, after going back through this, it became obvious what you were talking about. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna let you talk about it, and then I'm gonna talk about it and how you might not be able to just articulate what you were saying. You know what I mean? Your concept might have been there, but you weren't able to articulate it. But anyway, I'm gonna play it and let the people see how it sounds.
I don't be knowing these people be doing, man, when they get online and then they throw up an article and then try to goddamn. It never makes sense to me.
I know it don't make sense, Shawn.
It never, ever makes sense. Let me see if I can remember my damn login. I think it's it. Shit. Dang it. Oh, that was it. Let me get my verification code. Oh, there go the message right there.
Right there. This boy smooth hit it, boy.
Don't ask me.
Let me see if I can get it.
Because you were tested on an earlier version of 20 genotyping chip, you do not have the current reports and updates. So what the fuck I gotta do? Upgrade now. Well, then upgrade my shit. Man, I don't care nothing about that bullshit. Upgrade, $79. Oh, crazy. I don't care nothing about that health shit. Are we E? I can't see the chat yet.
We're gonna skip through this, man.
My bad.
Because he ain't got himself together right now. And we just wasting time.
These frequencies are 50% higher in the region. EM 180. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can share it now. A, 275,000 years ago, goes into DE. Y'all remember when he was saying the shit about DE? This what I'm saying, bro. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, the conversation over. DE.
How is it over when you just read what you read? But we're gonna let it spin.
Right here, DE-M145, 76,000 years ago. EM96, 73,000 years ago. EM180 origins, your paternal line, and then
let's go back
the
up.
region. EM96, 73.
Okay, so India, if you remember, you guys were arguing with me about where the E started at. You know what I'm saying? And you can clearly see that it begins in East Africa. You know what I mean? So that was another thing you guys were trying to argue with me about, and that you're going to come back later and validate. You know what I'm saying? And so uh, that DE is placed where it is because these phylogeneticists understand that it has to be placed there, because what they're trying to demonstrate and what they know that they have to, the question that they have to answer is the fact that, or how did D1, if the DE is in Africa, then how did the D1 escape out of Africa with no African signals? See what I'm saying? And so that's the reason why they placed the DE there. In addition to that, I've already said that the D2 later on was found in Nigeria, but that D2 is not related to D1. It has no relation to it whatsoever in terms of autosomal makeup, so forth and so on. It only shares a split branch with it. You know what I mean? And so that's the reason why they lean back towards out of Africa for the DE. But at the same time, you see that they're placing that DE where it is because they still have to explain why D1 came up out of Africa with no African signals, and why the D2 is in Africa with no Asian frequencies. You still got, it's still doing this. India, they still pulling at each other. You know what I mean? This don't answer, that don't answer the anomaly. Anyway, man, let's keep going, man.
1,000 years ago. EM180 origins. Your paternal line, branch of E, dominates south of the Sahara. The haplogroup originated about 17,000 years ago in pockets of Western Africa that were habitable at the time, when much of the continent was extremely dry due to ice age climate conditions. Over 10,000 years later, men bearing haplogroup EM180 migrated through sub-Saharan Africa, spurred by the development of agriculture and iron working in the region. This is mine. This isn't everybody else's, because some of them, like Ramon, he might have a different E or something else. So then it goes on to say E.
But you're not gonna have a different uh, EM 180. You've already suggested, and you're gonna go on and suggest that 60% of the African American male population that carries the E1B1A is carrying this M 180. You know what I'm saying? But you're not gonna have a different EM 180. You're gonna have different subclades, but you've already said before that subclades don't matter. Now you are, trying to articulate that you are somewhat different than your counterparts because of this subclade structure. That's what you're trying to articulate, but you probably don't understand what you're saying yourself. You know what I mean? You're not gonna have a different M180 because that's not what you're expressing here. You know what I'm saying? And you've already said that subclades don't matter. Now you're coming back and you're trying to make yourself look special. Don't work like that. In addition to that, India, this gentleman has already said here that the E M180 formed or mutated 17,000 years ago. Now, why is this significant, India? Because it's significant because first of all, the E1B1A, the root formed anywhere between 20 to 25,000 years ago. So at the most, we're talking about 8,000 years removed from the original basal form of E1B1A. You know what I'm saying? So for you guys to assume that haplogroup population is going to stay the same after 8,000 years is erroneous in and of itself. So we starting there. Now, he's going to go into the Bantu expansion. He's not going to go into it extensively, but we know just in general that the Bantu expansion happened um, anywhere between 500 to 3,000 years ago. So at the most, we're talking about a 14,000 year timeline of genetic development of a population that expanded in in the Bantu expansion. So you talking about 14,000 years prior of a genetic makeup that rapidly changed in the last 3,000 years, and you telling me that that or at least he's insinuating that that genetic makeup is going to stay the same through all of that. Like there's no ancestry before that. Everything is just about Bantu movement. But that ain't how it works, India. Why DNA only captures about 0.01% of your ancestry through one lineage, uh, India, where you have thousands of ancestors likely not captured in that lineage, and other lineages are likely not accounted for. So this guy expressing to me about what's carried now in M180, which existed before Bantu expansion, as if this means that lineages or population groups couldn't have differentiated in the span of 14,000 years. That's a major reach, India. Y'all got to tighten up. Y'all got to tighten up, man. And that's where I'm gonna stop it at. You know what I mean? Because I did like this is like my fourth take, man, and the prior three got messed up. So I'm a little bit pressed for time, India. You know what I'm saying? It's not word salad, India. You know what I mean? What was word salad about what I said? You don't believe that the Bantu expansion is estimated between 500 to 3,000 years ago? Yeah, let's do a little quick Q&A. I'm gonna do it for like 10 minutes. I'm allow 10 minutes for some Q&A. India's got everything to say because she can't accept, how her crew is looking. You know what I'm saying? You might want to get a different spokesperson, India. It's not my fault. I'm caught up and now I'm running. How am I running? So, India, to make it clear, your stance is obviously, regardless of you know, of history, migrational history, you believe that haplogroups define population regardless of how they migrated and moved. Is that your stance? You got the emojis going. Good job, India. This is what I expect from you. She got the running emojis. That's cute, India. Why did I stop the video and start with the what? And then you're not talking about nothing. I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here. You know what I'm saying? Now this is the end of part 3. You know, and I'm gonna get on with the rest of my day, and I'm gonna use this as troll material for you all that thought that your boy was really flexing. I'm gonna finish playing the video, India. It just ain't gonna happen right now. I'm gonna continue with part 4 at a later time, and I'm gonna get through his whole rebuttal. Trust me. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get through the whole thing. But he got 5 hours, man. He's got 5 hours to start. I don't have 5 hours to sit here. You know what I mean? And we still ain't even. We still got another like almost a little bit over 4 hours to get through his rebuttal. Come on now, India. Let's be serious. Let's be realistic. Yeah, that's what I thought. You can think whatever you want to think, India. It don't matter at this point. The people gonna know because it's going straight to Facebook. Anyway, I appreciate everybody for coming out for the part 3. I'm pretty sure that it became very obvious that Mr. Shawn is discombobulated with his thoughts, and he was everywhere with them. He turned around and confirmed everything that I was saying, which was that at some point in history, historians, geneticists, anthropologists, they all thought that Negroes originated not in Africa, but in East Asia. Now, that's not to say that those thoughts changed, India, before you start trying to put words in my mouth. I'm just saying historically, that's what they thought before, and that changed. You know what I'm saying? So, peace, love, and blessings to everybody that came out. I appreciate all my dogs, that came out. It ain't a whole bunch of people in the chat, but you know what I mean. It could be some people viewing it that's not in the chat, but I appreciate my dogs for showing up. You know what I mean. I appreciate that. Much love, and we're gonna get to part 4, and we're gonna continue dismantling Shawn and his hallucinations. Peace out.